Okay? So now you've gotten yourself registered for training. By the way, just in case, this is a question people ask, there is no obligation to run any race in the marathon series to be a part of the training program. All you have to do is sign up and do that. It doesn't say that you'll do anything signing up for the races. That's totally up to you, and it's totally independent of registering for the race. So when you sign up for training, when you do that part, you haven't committed yourself to run the race. If you want to get committed, and this is a good thing, get committed, go register for the race. Spend your money. Okay, put your money where your mouth is. And I believe registration is already open. So you can register right now if you want, tomorrow, tonight, whatever. So you're registered for training, you get the email. Please do us all a favor. Please do not post where we're going to be on Facebook or any of the other 752 places people put stuff out. I don't care if you remail that to your friends. I don't care about that. But we decided a long time ago that we're going to have somewhere between 100 and 200 people show up for training. Isn't that crazy? It's going to be 25 degrees and 150 people are going to show up to run at 6 o'clock. You won't believe it, but that's true. All those people are going to come. This is America, right? How many cars does it take to bring 150 people to a training program in America?
175.
Okay? So there's going to be 150 people in their own individual little cars parked somewhere, and you can bet your bottom dollar at about 6:04 they're all going to leave their cars, and they won't be back for about an hour to 2 hours. You really want us to put that out on the website? Hey, by the way, here's 150 cars you could come break into because there ain't be nobody here for a couple hours. So we stopped putting it on the website and we email it to the people who are signed up. And like I said, I don't care if you email it to people, just please don't put it out there where it ends up back on the, it defeats the purpose. Now somebody who's got bad intentions knows where our cars are. Not that it would be a whole lot of trouble. If they were kind of smart, you know, they could just register for training. For a long time out on Highway 300 out by Pinnacle, you know, if you're driving out towards Pinnacle on the left side, there's this great big lake called Lake Maumelle. That's Little Rock's water supply. For probably 2 years, there was a little road that goes off where you could drive back in, at one time, drive over to Lake Maumelle. They built a fence that was like 12 feet high, put razor wire all across this gate. It went exactly 4 feet on each side of the road and stopped. I called that the stupid terrorist fence. Because if you were a terrorist and you're going to go dump stuff in the lake and try to poison everybody in Little Rock, I'm sure that would keep you out. By the way, since then they figured that out and they went ahead and put the rest of the fence in, but it took a couple years. Anyway, so now you know what to do when you get there. You know how to get the email to know where we are. By the way, Hobbit does a really nice thing. Every week in the email, she puts the directions to where we're going from both directions, like from Conway and from Little Rock. So if we're going to be in Maumelle, one way or the other, you're either going to come from this way or from this way, and there's directions both ways of how to get there. If you'll follow her directions, I promise you, you'll get kind of close. And in the wintertime especially, number one, it's dark. Number two, it's cold. If you're in a bunch of cars going there, you're in the right parade, because that's the only people that are out at that time of day. It's all the crazy people going to run. All right. Got that? Am I on track?
I'm getting a drink of water.
Getting a drink. Okay.
Your talking is making me thirsty.
Now, did all that. Really quickly, I'll change gears for a second. A lot of you are going to wonder about equipment and what I need to bring, where, et cetera, et cetera. You need a pair of shorts in the summer, probably tights in the winter, but let's just talk about summer for a minute. Shorts and a shirt to run in of some sort. Ladies, most of you will need some sort of what's generally termed jog bra, okay? You will need a good pair of socks and a great pair of shoes. Everything else, if you get good socks, good shoes, most everything else is kind of negotiable. Now we're going to have a meeting, and the whole hour we're going to only talk about equipment. We're going to talk about Cool Max and Dry Fit and all kinds of weird stuff that you've heard of and don't really know that you know all that much about. But for now, what I'm going to tell you is you need good shoes, good socks. Okay? No cotton. Cotton is not your friend. You do not need to wear cotton socks. If you don't own a pair of not cotton socks, I can tell you, there's 3 running stores in town. One of them sponsors our training program. You can go to Walmart and buy a pair of Dry Fit socks for $5. In fact, there's like 3 pairs for $5. So it's not like you got to spend a lot of money on equipment. Okay? If you go to, I would beg you to go to one of the running stores at some point and buy a pair of good running shoes, and they're going to cost you about $100 to $125. For you marathoners, you're going to need a pair, and you're going to need a pair about race time. Half marathons, a pair will probably get it done. 5 and 10K, you're probably good. Just one pair will be fine. The first couple, if you start like this week and you're building up to that 6 miles, whatever you're running in will probably work. I tell people a lot of times as a coach, if you have a pair of running shoes or tennis shoes or something like that that fit, you can probably run 2 or 3 miles in them and be okay. But about the time you hit 8 miles, and for sure when you hit 10 miles, if you don't have good shoes, you're out of business. And what will happen is you'll get hurt. And if you get hurt, you can't play. If you can't play, then I'm sad. So when I told you I'm really conservative, start planning on you need a pair of running shoes to do this. Maybe not the first time, because you won't come out and do 6 or 8 miles, but as you start building up, you're going to need a good pair of shoes. You can't buy your first pair of shoes online. You can't buy your first pair of shoes at Walmart. You can't buy your first pair of shoes at any of the little mall outlets that sell shoes. You need to go to a specialty running store, and it's another one of those times for you new runners that you're gonna be, the right word would be probably intimidated, because you're going there and be all these skinny people in there that all look like runners, and they're all gonna talk to each other, and they're not gonna talk to you. And it takes about 3 seconds to say, oop, I'm in the wrong place, see y'all. And the truth is, they will talk to you, but right when you come in the door, they're talking to somebody else who has their undivided attention, and they're doing something like fitting them in a pair of shoes. And so when it's your turn, you'll have their undivided attention, and somebody else who comes in, they probably won't talk to them either. So give them a chance, and don't let your insecurity get in the way of what's really going on. All 3 of the stores are great here in town, okay? Yes, ma'am. 4, okay, I'm sorry, all 4 stores. But the point is, they have people who are trained, who understand, who are going to do something really weird. They're going to put you in those shoes and ask you to run or walk if you're a walker. They're going to ask you, they're going to have you go down about to the back wall and back, and they're going to be looking at you. And you know what they're going to look at? They're going to look at your feet and your ankles. And they're going to try to decide, are those shoes doing what you need to make you run square so you don't get hurt? And if they don't work very well, they're going to put you in a different pair. If you don't like them, guess what? They aren't going to get any better. I'm going to tell you this again in the equipment meeting. You don't break in shoes. If you take them out of the box, if there's not a manufacturing defect in them, you can run in them. If they don't fit like that, they're not right. They're not going to get better. So one of the things that happens in a running store is they'll bring you, if you ask, they'll bring you pretty much every pair of shoes that they have in your size to try on. And there's all kinds of stuff going on. There's motion control, and there's stability, and there's a neutral shoe. What do you know? I know I wear a size 7. Okay, bring them all. Let's try them on. Let's see what it looks like. And they will. I'll only caution you about 2 things in the shoe deal, and then I'll shut up about shoes. 2 things about shoes. Number 1, the size of a running shoe is a lie. The running companies that make shoes have this huge competition, and they want to have the lightest shoe, because obviously if it's 1 nanogram lighter than this other shoe, you'd be a lot faster in that, right? Obviously. So all of a sudden over the years, a size 5 has gotten to be about that big. So if you wear a 7, there's a really good chance, ladies, that you're going to be in a 10 running shoe or a 9 running shoe. I'll probably remind you about this again in the gear meeting, but I'm going to tell you, These aren't bowling shoes. The number's not on the back. Only you will know that it says 9 inside. Don't worry about the size, and don't get wrapped up in the color. It doesn't matter. It matters that they fit. That's all that matters. Okay? And they're good at that. So spend some time prepping for having the money, and then get all geared up and go to running stores. Since we have one that sponsors us, curiously, we run from his place 3 or 4 times, and we'll run from there right around the first part of official training, and he's a really nice guy. Not only does he put up with us, and he brings water and cookies and stuff for after, and coffee and all that good stuff, but he has a discount going on for everybody in the training program that morning. Usually that whole day, so if you're really stinky when you get done, you can go home and shower and come back. So more about that in an upcoming meeting. You got your gear. We're going to teach you over the course of some time to bring water or whatever you want to drink, tequila, Gatorade, whatever. And we're going to start teaching you what to eat. And it's a kind of a foreign concept to think about that, but marathoners, the likelihood is if you're a runner, an average time for a marathon for a runner is about 4.5 hours. You're going to burn up a ton of calories in 4.5 hours, and you're not really going to be hungry, but your body's going to run out of gas. So you need to learn how to eat to fuel the machine, and it's a skill that you learn. And not only do you learn how to do it, you have to learn what you'll eat, you have to learn what you'll be happy with, what your body's going to be happy with, and your body has to learn how to deal with that. It's pre-programmed into that fight or flight thing. When you're running, your body is pre-programmed to shut all that down. Put all the blood into the muscles that make that happen, into heart, into the cardio system, and stop putting any blood around the stomach. So all that just stops, and the first thing you know, you ate something, and it's like, oh, now I got a brick in my stomach. Yay, this is great. But your body can learn to do that, and there's some things that are better at that than others. And we're going to talk about that in a whole nother meeting, about what to eat. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry too much about eating or drinking the first couple miles. I ran 6 miles this morning, and then I drank water after. That's really a little farther than I like, but I didn't want to carry a bottle. So 4 miles is kind of where I want you to drink about every 2 miles and eat about every 4. But
it depends on your pace.
I'm sorry?
Depends on your pace.
Depending on your pace. Yes, ma'am. That's true. So again, another whole meeting. But we're going to learn about that. You're going to learn about blinky lights and reflective stuff so that you'll be safe. Another way that you can get disqualified from the training program is if somebody runs you over. You don't get to play anymore. Okay? And I'm not sure sometimes, runners sometimes, especially when they get tired, pardon me for saying it this way, but I told you I was kind of blunt, they get stupid. You know? And they start thinking, oh, that guy won't run over me. Wrong. And Hobbit will tell you later or sometime, if you run with my group, we run in the road. We run pretty much in the middle of the road. I like being out right on the center line because if you're coming, I got a chance to figure out where I can get out of the way better if I'm in the middle.
Don't run where Tom runs. Huh? Don't follow Tom. Don't run where Tom runs. She says don't follow me, right? One of the things that I'm convinced of, though, is people aren't looking for you when you're running. So it's very easy to get involved in accidents. We it looks like a Christmas parade all the time when all our guys and girls get together because we have them all in blinky lights and they're all flashing and all that. And it's pretty fun, but it has to do with making you safe. We'll talk about that. Can I talk about the schedules just real quick?
Talk about
very quickly.
Hobbit wants to talk about the schedule.
Hobbit just wants to talk. I've been as quiet as I can be. One of the things I do want to talk about, because I get this question a lot, our schedules are all written in miles. So therefore, if I tell you to go out and do 3 miles, I don't care what your pace is, I want you to do that 3 miles. And the reason we don't do it in time, Tom runs about a 9-minute mile. Somebody out there will run about a 10-minute mile. Somebody's incredibly fast and does a 7-minute mile. I do closer to a 17 or 18-minute mile. So if I tell all of you go out and run for 20 minutes, I'm just going to barely go a mile. Tom is not even going to make it to 3 miles. Somebody that runs about a 7-minute mile will get close to doing 3 miles. So if the point is getting you ready to do 26.2 miles or 13.1 or 6.2 or 3.1, minutes doesn't cut it. When the Huckabees trained with us one year, and they were very gracious and invited us to talk about the marathon to the house we own that the governor lives in. And one of the people that is a very nice man, and he's an old school runner. You go out and you run this many minutes. He told Janet, who was going to walk the marathon, do 4 hours, you'll be good. And I kept my mouth shut. I was very, very new to all this, and I was very nervous about opening up my mouth. But I went home and I wrote her a long note. And I said, if you're going to walk the marathon, trust me, the longest mileage being 4 hours is not going to do it for you. I'm not trying to really disagree with him, but I'm disagreeing with him. So I wrote her this letter, and I said, I really think you should look at the training schedule and do that. She trained with us that whole year. She finished the marathon in 7 hours and 37 minutes, and she told me, you are so totally right. I would have not been ready for this if my longest time had been 4 hours. So depending upon your pace, we don't care what your pace is. I just want you to have the mileage under your belt. If you are a slower walker or a runner, and it's going to take you 6 to 7 hours, 6 to 8 hours, I want you to know how your body's going to feel after 4 hours out there and you're only halfway through the course. So that is the biggest reason that we write them in mileage. I've gotten a lot of requests for an intermediate schedule because we only put out the entry. And everybody doesn't want to be a beginner. Okay, I don't care what you want to call it. We can call those the elite runners. Our elite schedule is out there because you are elite runners and walkers. So, and I get these, my first response is always, what are you doing now? The last one I got said, I'm walking 1 to 2 miles, 2 to 3 times a week. I've been off injured for a year with plantar fasciitis. I'm just getting back into it. So, I need an intermediate schedule. No, you don't. And you might get one, but it's not going to be mine. And only because, well, not only because, but just because you don't need an intermediate schedule. If you truly need an intermediate schedule because you are someone who's got a really high mileage base, you've done several marathons, and you really want to get a little faster or a little better, we are happy to build you an intermediate schedule. We're happy to build you an advanced schedule. I could not probably do an advanced schedule that I'd build, but I can make you a kicking one. And you will be really unhappy you asked for it. And Tom gets a lot of, well, I say Tom because when people want speed work, I send it to him because it frustrates him and it makes him, they want him to build him a speed work schedule that starts tomorrow. And really, when you're doing the speed work thing, you really do that the last 6 weeks before your race to kind of sharpen it, and that's when you really work on speed. So it just makes him crazy to get those but I want a speed work schedule now, and he won't give it to him. And the bad thing is he won't answer you. I'm left in the middle going, Tom's working on it. Tom's working on it. You'll get it 6 weeks out from your race because that's when Tom sends the speed work thing. I'm a little more, I will give you tempo runs if you want them or tell you about tempo runs or fartleks, which is not just a silly word. There really is something. It's Swedish. It's Swedish for speed play. And tempo and intervals. There are 3 different kinds that we usually talk about, and we can build those into a schedule, but they're not really I want you to go out on a track and go around so many times and then walk or stop and then do some more. That's more what Tom does because he knows all the 800 meters and 300 meters. I'm like, how far is it around the track again? Tom talked about time commitment. The other question I get a lot, that somebody will email to us and they'll go, I want to lose weight, so I want to train for a marathon. Hey, it works great. I have logged about, and because I'm anal retentive and keep up with everything, I know this, I've logged about 45,000 miles since I started marathon training in 2001. Wow, it is working for me. I got Twiggy all over me, let me tell you. Yeah. OCD much? No. Yeah. You want to know what every one of those laps, the pace was? I got that. So I'm not saying you cannot lose weight training for adding this to your schedule. What I am saying is it's really hard and you have to really watch what you do, because what is going to happen to most of us, don't go out there and prove me wrong and say, well, watch this, I'm going to lose 100 pounds. I'm not saying you can't, I'm not challenging you to that. I'm saying you have to be very careful when you start trying to lose weight and you're doing an endurance program, because your body is not going to be about that. It's going to say, we did, who's got it's weird. Hungry mileage for me is 6 miles. If I do 20, I don't care if I eat for 2 or 3 days. 6, I'll eat the next week. Who else got what's yours? 8. Who else has got a funky? 8. See, it's always the shorter mileages that kind of get you into trouble. And not trouble so much, but your body is just going to say, you got to feed me and you got to feed me now. So when you're doing this, you're going to have to kind of pick you may want to lose some, and you're going to have to be a little more cautious about how you lose it. You lose it a little slower because you're going to want to be sure you have plenty of fuel to do your training. Tom, the other thing I want to talk about just briefly, and then we're going to ask questions if you have questions. And there are no stupid questions. There are some stupid answers that I've given sometimes, real stupid answers, and then I think, I just said that, didn't I? One of the things that you need to be sure of when you start this, first of all, if you want to train for the marathon and you're not sure, you want to train for the marathon but you're not really sure, start out training for the marathon. It is really easy for you to drop back and say 6 weeks into it, this is a lot more time commitment than what I had, than it is for you 6 weeks into it to go, gosh, I really would rather do the marathon, and now you're trying to catch up on your mileage. Where if you had started out training for the marathon and you wanted to drop back, it's real easy to drop back. It's real easy to tell your brain, oh, we were supposed to do 12, but I'm going to do the half marathon, so we're only going to do 8 today. And your brain's usually pretty good with that, and your body too. The other thing is make sure, just like anything else that you want to do in your life, that you want to do it. Let's say I'm all the time signing him up for races because I want to go to Montana or Washington or Seattle. Because I want to go, that's the only reason not the only reason, but one of the big reasons that keeps me doing this is I like to travel. And I will travel at the drop of a hat. Not so much go out in 90-degree heat like we did this morning and do 3 miles. That's really not high on my bucket list. But in order to be able to go do my traveling, that's my reward for doing all this other stuff. So make sure that the reason that you want to do this is your reason, and not that you're doing it because somebody has, I can't say talked you into it. We talk ourselves into doing a lot of things, all of us in our group, but make sure that you want to do it. I don't know how many people we've had start out as groups. They all have a reason they're going to do this, and they're all going to do it together. And 9 out of 10 times we will get to the end of the training season, and there'll be one person left from that group who is still doing the training, and it's usually not the person that had the reason. They found a different reason that they wanted to continue, but that, like I said, think about that, and don't ever, this is a pet peeve of mine, and you will hear me say it again and again, never say don't ever say it, and if I hear it, I'll call you on it. Never say, I'm just doing 3 miles. I'm just doing 1. I'm just doing the half. I'm just walking it. I don't want to hear it. You're not just doing anything. You're out here, like Tom said, you're all athletes, and you can all be awesome. We have some great people that train with us, both in our group here in Little Rock and other places that I'm so excited when they come into town for the marathon because I get to meet these people that I have been emailing with for all year, and they're from Colorado, and I had a guy from Dubai that came 2 years in a row, and it's really cool to meet people and find out their reasons, because everybody's reason is important. It's yours, and that makes it important.